Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Simply Neighbors. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Evangeline.
I'm DaQuavion.
I'm Donovan.
And we are
Simply Neighbors.
So it's been almost a year since the four of us were together at this table recording our little preview episode.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot has happened.
Yes. Yay.
And one of those things is we have a soundboard now, and somebody that we don't entirely trust is over operating soundboard.
Come on, Evangeline.
That would be DaQuavion. But anywho, how about let's just do a little recap episode. So just the four of us, no guest today, just us talking about what this last year has held, maybe taking a minute to go through and think about each of our guests that we have had, because there's been so many, I think, rich conversations, realizations, connections to think about. So what all has changed and what all has happened since the last time the four of us were here together?
I mean, I feel like you got some pretty big changes.
Yeah.
Like you are on this episode today
I
in the
am.
flesh.
Yes.
I am.
Oh,
And-
it's very black.
Yes, I moved back to Cleveland from being partly long distance while I was finishing up my master's degree at Yale Divinity School. So I'm happy to have, I've graduated,
Let's go.
got that paper, and I'm mostly happy just to be home. So that's a big thing that's changed. And you guys have a big update since last time we were here, and we keep watching this little update on a certain monitor here on the table.
Yes, we have an almost 11-month-old.
Crazy.
11-month-year-old.
11-month-year-old. Is that a thing?
It is. You can say it like that if you'd like.
Yeah. I mean, she could have said in weeks. Like, what is that? Like 87 weeks?
I don't know.
That's too far. Nope.
We're not doing that.
Yes, she's almost 11 months. We mentioned that we've had a baby before on our podcast, but yeah, that's been a huge change for us. Evangeline also had some other exciting news that happened last summer.
Yeah, as of August something, I am a new citizen of the United States.
Yay.
Woo-hoo. Big things. Yeah, it was really special. I actually got to swear in at the One World Day by the Cultural
Oh, yeah.
Gardens. It was very special.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it will always
That's
be
really
a special
beautiful.
event that happens in Cleveland that marks my citizenship. So
Does that happen every August?
it does actually. Yeah. Yeah. How about you, DaQuavion?
I got a new job.
Got a new
Yeah,
job.
just a couple of months ago, I was sharing with Moses the podcast about like just that transition and how the community just showed up for me and was so present and like just caring between meals, like food, just like financial support. So got a new job and got a new toaster. So if you listen to episode 4, we talked about some exchanges and stuff.
We
and
got a toaster.
Wow.
we got a toaster.
You
From
got
Moses.
the toaster.
And it's
I
pretty
love
nice.
that.
Yeah, it was our
really
own little
nice. So
marketplace.
shout out to Moses for participating in your marketplace
Amazing.
on the podcast. So if you're looking for free stuff and you want to make really cool exchanges and care for neighbors, the marketplace and neighbor night, it's the place to go.
So where do you work now?
Midtown Cleveland Incorporated. And so I'm the community engagement manager there for Midtown and Huff. If you're in the neighborhood and you want to get connected to me or just anything about like community organizing, block clubs, parties, and events, reach out. I'm around and want to connect to help.
We out here,
DaQuavion's the connector.
which is one of the goals of this whole podcast. And I feel like we've reached that goal of trying to put people in conversation with each other who maybe weren't in conversation before. We've had, 5 episodes. This would be our 6th. And we've had 6 different guests because one of the episodes we had Brian and Marsha Parker together, which is really special. Before we kind of go through each of the episodes and think about something that we're going to be taking away from that conversation. One thing, when I was like going back and listening to everything, I noticed that flowers and gardening came up in almost every single conversation. And that's something that's important to Simply Neighbors. We put it on our logo. But I'm just curious, why do you think this came up so much? Or if you can remember any of the like specific things. I know Tanmay was talking about how important it is for people who work in the city to really have their hands in the dirt, in the literal earth that we're sharing together. So yeah, why do you think that's so important for community work?
I love the symbolism of growing things, of just enjoying the natural beauty around us. I think on Nikki's episode when they're talking about putting the tulips, and like how that was such a catalyst for community organizing. Yeah, it's a powerful thing to be doing together that everyone agrees. Flowers, natural beauty is something we want in our neighborhoods, and it's something that we can work together to build. So in a lot of ways, I feel like that symbolism carries power and carries a connection.
It takes time to nurture beauty,
Yeah.
right? In our spaces, in our gardens. Donovan's been working on our garden this year, and really like the time it takes to get the soil and the seeds and just wait and nourish it. So I think it talking about symbolism, just how much time and work and resources come together to make community happen, you know, and then when the flowers bloom and it's beautiful, everyone gets to enjoy, everyone gets to see the fruit of labor, many people's labor. So yeah, I love flowers. They're always in our home. They always light up my day.
You have flowers on your sweatshirt.
Oh, my earrings.
And your earrings.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think about just interconnected webs and ecosystems like within the roots, more than just like grass, because like grass like roots are actually pretty shallow, but like wildflowers go pretty deep, and like they stretch and they connect. And I think about just the work of community building in general and how a lot of it is generational work. I think about flowers, or even, especially like trees. And like, you know, if we think about like trees could be like a really big flower, in its own way. It's different, of course, I know, but
There are flowering trees.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes that time.
Yeah, and like to be like planted and rooted in a space, how long it would take a fruit tree to bear fruit or even actually provide shade, or even like flowers. Sometimes certain flowers don't always like bud like when you first like put them out. It like takes a little while, but once like they do, you find out that they've stretched like 5 yards from when you originally planted them. Somehow like those seeds and spores like spread. And so I just think about, the time and like care, trust, and all those things are kind of like wrapped around like that imagery, but like it's also like real life experiences.
It also, to me, I think communicates value. I don't know if you guys have read any of Makoto Fujimura's work. He's a painter and artist, and he makes a case for art and beauty in a lot of his work. And he shares this story about his wife at the time, like bringing home flowers, and that being something that was it was kind of conferring the dignity or confirming the dignity of life, to be like, you are worthy of this beautiful thing in your home. And so with like Pat planting the flowers, or working together with the flowers down Lorraine, the tulips, and especially Miss Marsha's work with the flower arrangements, this is saying to every community that witnesses that you are worth something beautiful, and you're worth all that time, or it's worth being a part of it as a community coming together. And so I think that's, maybe also why Tanmay would talk about how important it is that people don't forget that the community's worth it. Yeah. It's worth getting your hands in the literal dirt. Yeah. And I'm excited to see your garden. What are some of the things you've planted?
I've got the sort of the usuals: tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and zucchini this year. And we've been growing spinach, actually. We've been growing that for a while because that's a frost hardy plant. And we've been eating that pretty much every day from it. It's kind of incredible how much like one little plant can produce. Very excited. I love this time of year. This is May in Cleveland is the place and time to be.
It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be June.
By the time this podcast comes out, it's going to be June. I'm thinking maybe we can work our way backwards through our episodes, kind of take a little stroll down memory lane all the way back to our little seed of an idea that we started this podcast with. Yeah?
Yeah,
Sounds great.
let's do it.
So the most recent episode was with Don May. And after thinking about what he had to say about the power that a community really has, it made me think, what does make a community strong or powerful? I mean, I think about a few different things. I think about the relational web. We've said several times, you have to know your neighbors. That's a good place to start. You have to know who it is that's in your community, and that's often how any kind of community power starts, is by knowing who it is that you call your community. So in a neighborhood, in a literal block, you have to know who it is that's there. But in order to get to know people, sometimes there has to be opportunities to do that. So something like a community meeting or something like a ward meeting. We have wards in the city of Cleveland. There has to be opportunities, which requires some planning or some infrastructure. So there has to be somebody who has that value, and then that's up to leaders. So is it okay? Well, now we're talking about leaders, but we've also talked a lot about just the everyday, simple things, like unloading groceries in the front of the house instead of the back, or taking some extra food to a neighbor across the street, or some cucumbers.
I mean, I think what you're kind of hitting on is it's everything. It's all of that, right? It's all these thousands of small things that add up to the strength. Like you're getting at it, it starts with making the choice to be an active, kind, present neighbor. That's where it starts for most people. Like when I go out the street and go down to the park, I take our daughter there. I love seeing families there. I love seeing neighbors I recognize. That's what makes me feel connected.
And I think about like power and trust, like how we think, even like money things. And so like the dollar itself, like there's, what is the gold standard? Like it's not really attached to that. I think like the value of like monies and things. I'm kind of going like around the way to explain this around like what I'm thinking about power is. The main thing is that power has to do with like relationships and like trust, and like that's how you move things. Leadership itself has everything to do with trust. Like that's how people get in those positions. And those positions of that collective trust is what makes that individual like more powerful, heard, or even respected. And so that's what I was trying to say with the comparison of the value of these products or monies and things. It's about like that collective trust in not just a brand, but a person. And so a neighborhood can be powerful when like people know one another. They feel safer knowing one another, and that's a powerful place to be. And when you collectively are using that power and that trust to like communicate an idea, to like plant some flowers on the side of a railroad track, to run for like council, wherever it is, like that power is like what like that like those things are what makes a neighborhood strong. And then depending on how much trust is built and facilitated with a neighborhood will determine how strong or weak a neighborhood could be.
And I like that, because I think that leads us to thinking about our previous, before Tanmay, we talked to Moses, and he was talking a lot about a model for building community trust, or walking in community trust, I think, and that's neighbor night, which is a little different than something like a ward meeting or a block club meeting. And I think it's really unique and refreshing to go to one of these neighbor nights because it is a place where you can build trust over time. You're not expected to walk in and already know and trust everyone around you, but through sharing food, through sharing ideas, through sharing literal resources, or being brave enough to make a request of other people, that kind of gets developed over time. So I was just curious who, I think everyone except Evangeline has been to a neighbor night, correct?
Yeah, but I really loved hearing about it, and I really want to come to one. I love the idea that everyone has something to offer. Like, you're coming to a table versus to a lecture or a place where you ask someone to help you. You're coming to a space where you can help someone. You know, I think it really empowers neighbors in a beautiful way. So I'm really excited to go to one. I have it on my calendar for the next time we go. But yeah, I'm curious to hear you guys who have been there. What else did you think from it?
I agree, and it's a great episode if you didn't get a chance to listen to it. One of the things that stood out to me when I went there is it's just framed in an intentional way to bring out the best in people, to bring out the neighborliness in people. Because it's the same kind of people who would go to neighbor night as would go to any of these, block club meetings or like council member updates, those types of things. And you get a lot of complaints. You get a lot of people just venting or only going when they have something that they have a problem about.
Because they think somebody there will be able to do something about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And this flips it, where it's like, instead of just being a place to go vent, it's a place to come together. It's a place to ask questions. And Moses does a great job of organizing it and coordinating the discussions so that everyone gets a chance to share, and it feels very inclusive.
And I'd say too, like in that episode, like, we're not knocking block clubs or these community like meetings, but the orientation of the like physical setup of the spaces, it just positions you even physically in such a way that like you're not moving collaboratively, like you are, like you say, like lectures, like people are sitting in like chairs and there's like a speaker. And so like if you are a student and you like are really familiar with this, like I've just been a student recently, the classroom, the expert is in front of you. Right. And that's the way that you think and move about the things, versus literally a neighbor night, the table is a circle. Any group conversation, even there's rectangle tables around, like people are going to move in some type of circle, like formation, so that as discussions are happening physically within the space, the equality, the voice of the leader in the room is all of us. Like, this is where we have the power and agency to move and to be.
Yeah, and I think that's coming back to power, where Moses was emphasizing that the community does have power, and neighbor night's a place to kind of flex a little bit.
And share.
So thinking a little further back, we talked to Nikki Hudson, and one of the things that she talked about was how to navigate conflict as a community. Yeah, she shared a really beautiful story about a community kind of discovering their voice and being able to advocate for a space. And there was kind of a question often about how important is individual agency, and what does it look like to navigate conflict in a respectful way with one another while still advocating for the things that you think are important. So I'm wondering if from that conversation, if you have anything that you're taking away that would be helpful, because we know that living as neighbors is not without conflict. And so I don't know, are there any gems that you're taking away from that conversation?
Yeah, I would say I was struck by how Nikki really framed the opposition very compassionately, very understanding, not making the other side out to be an enemy, but instead being like, okay, how can we work alongside them? So much of it is in your perspective and having that like first your instinct of, oh, someone did something that offended me, or they're taking a community action that goes against what I believe, instead of assuming the worst, giving it the best lens possible and try to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, at the same time, it's hard. Even though like the language and the thoughts is simple, sometimes it's like hard to see when you believe and know and feel in your body that you're so right.
Conflict is inevitable, but when we can all agree on a certain goal that we're going towards, it's easier to work through it.
And I'm also hearing transparency.
Yeah.
You have to be transparent and not say what you think somebody wants to hear, but then you're really planning on doing something a little bit different. That will just kind of continue breeding this conflict. But if you can have a transparent space and then from there listen to one another, I think is super important.
Yeah. And there are like training professionals and like neighbor trainings that are available for people who feel like they are really good listeners or want to learn how to be a better listener. There's an organization called Cleveland Mediators. I believe that's the name. I'll try to put the things, or Stephanie, whomever is putting the show notes and stuff together.
I'll do some magic behind the scenes.
Yeah, but to add that organization,
the mediators, yeah,
because they've been around for years, and they'll come help you work through like big disputes. And there's also trainings if you want to be a mediator and learn how to like do those practices, because it's hard getting two groups together and creating a space for people to be heard. And that's just the biggest thing. Like if the other person doesn't feel heard, you're not really having a conversation.
Right.
So we've been thinking big picture on conflict navigation, but I'm going to zoom in for a second on a small picture. When we talked to Brian and Marcia, when DaQuavion interviewed them, it came up that they're in an interracial marriage, and it just so happens that both of us, both of our marriages are also
never
interracial.
noticed.
That's
And
crazy.
the question came up that sometimes
Also crazy that like you guys can't see this, but we're separated on the table, and like the brown people on this side, and the white people on this side. There we go. Yeah.
So sometimes there's a little conflict, a little figuring it out. And I took so much away from that conversation with Brian and Marcia. It was just very encouraging as young people on this journey to listen to people that have lived a little bit more life and have some wisdom to share on that account. I know advice that we got in our marriage early on was just don't be petty. And that's gotten us through a lot, actually. Try not to be petty. Yeah. Uh-oh.
I did not get that advice.
That's a good idea.
There's a mediation that you can go.
Got it.
I got some people for
Call
you.
Cleveland mediators.
But
I don't think they help marriages.
oh my God.
Cleveland Mediation Center.
Well, I didn't think about this earlier, but I am now interested in briefly thinking about what it looks like to even explore having a family with different cultures. I feel like that's a good place to start when you're thinking about a community that has different cultures. And we've talked a lot about how this community includes a lot of different cultures and people that are new to each other and might not might not know how to talk to each other, use literally the same language, or, whether that language is your words or it's your food or it's your habits and how loud you have the music and when you mow the lawn and all this different stuff. And so I'm just curious if there's, anything that we want to think about how we explore that just in our personal relationships.
Yeah, I can definitely speak to it. It's hard. It's hard being in close relationship with someone who's very different from you. And I think what I said on the bigger scale really applies personally too. And it's something you constantly have to be intentional about, because it does not come naturally. It doesn't come easily, which is why most times we want to just stick with the people that are similar to us, right? Less conflict, we think the same way. But when we are trying to build community, when we marry someone else that's different, it is a lot more work, I would say. So, some things that have helped us and continue to help us, because we are still figuring it out.
Whole life.
We celebrated our 4-year anniversary last week.
Happy anniversary! Oh, there's the soundboard.
Yeah, I had it muted earlier, so I couldn't even use it.
Yeah, and you can share some too, but I think we are constantly still learning. Like, we are doing different classes together, taking time to listen to each other. Donovan got to come to India and Uganda, places that are so close to my heart, places I spent most of my life in, to just understand me more. Really having deep conversations that can be hard too. I think that all of those things apply to community on a bigger scale, and not doing it alone. Yeah. I think has been really helpful. We brought other people into our lives that really see us through the good and the bad, and really share their wisdom and their experiences. I think there's so much we can learn if we bring people along who we can share our lives with. Yeah. You got something else or anything to add?
No, you said it very well. I agree. I think one thing I would add is learning that your way is not the only way. It's not necessarily the best way, and just being open to change, being open to recognizing that different might be better. And I think, like, personally, of course, for that applies, but I think in a community sense, being okay with people being different than you, going about things differently, and having the wisdom to know when something needs to be, addressed and worked out together as neighbors or spouses, whatever. And when things you need to grow and learning to let go of, like, maybe this thing that you held on so tightly isn't such a big deal. Maybe people playing music at 10:30 at night is okay. It's as long as they stop at 11 or whatever, Yeah. Just having a little grace that, like, the way you live life is not the way that other people live life necessarily.
Yeah, I think something that DaQuavion and I has helped us in our marriage is humor. I think that we take ourselves humorously, and we recognize when the difference is
like the most stoic
so serious
person I've ever met.
Because I think that differences.
I'm sorry.
See, can't trust you with the sound. I think that differences produce humor. A lot. Yeah. And sometimes people are so scared to really recognize when it's funny, and take it with a grain of salt, because there's a way to make fun of people that's really hurtful, but there's a way to recognize the good humor. And I think, I don't know, that's just a way that we've, what do you think?
Yeah, I got one. Okay. So this is fun.
Okay. Oh no, I'm going to share an embarrassing story.
No, this is not Stephanie, but this is like we sometimes talk about like just like cultural differences, and so like I feel like at least growing up in Texas in my family, like Black Americans, like hygiene is so like big, and so like washcloths is like always see, like it's always a thing. So like using soap on the body, do you like rub the soap? Are you rubbing the soap on your hands and like then rubbing your body, or do you use the washcloth all the time? And so like those are like differences. And so like depending on the culture, it could be the case that you're like, yo, you're dirty. Like,
this is not a visual medium. Evangeline and Donovan are making eyes at each other across this table.
Not pointing fingers.
But she's like pointing fingers.
Silly stuff like
Definitely pointing fingers.
like tissue. Like maybe people put tissue right side up or upside down or whatever the thing is. Like, it could be the tissue.
Is that cultural?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, I was
my
giving an example
mom
of
literally
like
just asked me why do all her
blended
parents why do all her children change the orientation of the tissue when they come to her house?
Oh.
So I don't know that it's cultural. Apparently.
Well, it's like blending people, just close proximity.
Right.
There's
Just bumping elbows.
Yeah, like close to anybody that's different from you. Like your own way is going to feel like your own way if you're just used to it. But being together with someone, whether it's like romantic relationship or just like any form of relationship, your way of moving about life will be challenged by somebody else's way of moving about life.
So one other thing from the beginning, our very first guest, Pat Shannahan, here at this table.
The man,
the
myth,
the legend.
Yeah.
First time we used this recording equipment. So I was thinking that Evangeline and Donovan, you could share a little bit about what's happened since we recorded that episode with Pat.
Okay. It was tough. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so Pat, our next door neighbor on Peony, unfortunately, about 6 weeks after we recorded our first episode, he passed. And this was truly heartbreaking and hard for not just us and his family, but our neighborhood, our street. In the weeks after, he had said he did not want to have a memorial or anything made, which was in typical Pat fashion, not a lot of attention. But we were in touch with his son, and his son was able to organize a beautiful get-together in the backyard with some of the neighbors. And truly, that was a testament to Pat's legacy. And people that came out to just share stories, and really, he got people together even in his passing. Like, we got to meet some neighbors that we hadn't met before as well. While it was really hard, we're really grateful that his legacy will live on the street, and that us as neighbors have got so much from him, and that we were able to record his stories, which is really at the core of why this podcast was started. And actually, his family really appreciated it too. It was something that they were able to share along with other family and friends as a tribute to him. So, really hard. Actually, as the spring has come, I felt it so much more, because that's when everyone comes out. So, I don't know, Donovan, if you want to speak to that too.
Pat was in many ways the block leader. He was referred to as the mayor by several neighbors because he cared, because he was involved in people's lives. He was invested. So we miss him. We miss his presence on the street. We miss, the way that he would connect people. And in many ways, we hope that this podcast, we hope that all the neighboring efforts in our neighborhood honor him and kind of help build his legacy, because we're not doing this alone. And, Pat was not the first neighborhood organizer either. His work is built on organizers before and so on. So we just want to continue that legacy. And
I will never forget when we were recording and he said, I don't know exactly what he said, but he was like, "Good job, kids," or
like,
"You got this. Keep it up,
Yeah,
kids."
yeah.
I think that's something I always think about, even as we sit here at this table, even as we try to plan for the future of Simply Neighbors and the summer of being out in the neighborhood. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really special. And I'm grateful that DaQuavion and I got to meet him and got to share that conversation. Yeah, I just think about it a lot because he was the perfect example of what it means to just be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
Not to do it because somebody's looking,
Right.
but just to do it because that's a good thing to do. And that's just what it means
Right.
to live with other people.
yeah,
That was just like the most, like, he didn't think about it. He didn't ask, am I going to do this or not? He just,
Right.
that was just what he did.
Yeah. It was part of who he was.
yeah,
And he had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, he did.
Definitely.
He had a colorful sense of humor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Tip hat.
To Pat.
Pat.
In the conversation with him, we talked about what it means to be neighbors with the people that have lived in this neighborhood a long time and people that are maybe newer to the neighborhood, or younger generations and older generations. And I think that this brings up something that actually Nikki also brought up, which is what's the difference between safety and security, and what happens if you confuse security for safety. Again, to what you said, DaQuavion, trust. Trust seems to be the big thing. So how can we build trust between people that are newer to the neighborhood, younger generations, and people that have been here for a while, older generations?
Be intentional and be uncomfortable. I will never forget when we lived on Store and thinking about like how we used to have like Simply Safe alarm system where there was like
Oh,
the
yeah.
window things, the door alarm. I mean, like, you know, Fort Knox, not really Fort Knox. We didn't have cameras and all things, but it was like all the various sensors and things.
Yeah, we had all the
In
windows.
your house.
Yeah, in our
Yeah,
house,
and the
the
doors.
windows were all...
And all this stuff, like, you know, my security things cost a lot. Thank you, Roger
Yes,
Bonham.
we're grateful for my parents.
And like that was like a gift of them for us, and they like just bought that for us. But and I share this story to say because our neighbor
Yeah,
next door,
maybe like a year later.
yeah, like told us like 'cause I don't remember what exactly happened. My schedule changed, and she's like noticed like our schedule changed.
She
but
knew immediately.
she knew our entire schedule, like in and out. Like I'm paying for this like Ring camera service.
She's
Meanwhile, like she is doing the good work of the Lord, telling me about like squirrels by like our flowers and stuff. My camera didn't pick that up,
And this
but I'm
was
glad I
when
know.
there were some folks that were parking cars in our driveway.
Yeah.
And she was like, I've been seeing them parked there. Do you want them there? Are we telling them to move? And I was like, okay.
Ring camera doesn't say like get off my yard. Our neighbor saying get off their yard. You know, like it's so like.
I forget the book and the author, but I was in the. I'm sorry. I was in this.
We'll
class.
add it in the post show
We'll
notes.
add it in the post show notes.
If
But
you
no,
remember.
you guys may know this lady, very famous advocate, neighborhood advocate. She wrote a book.
Wow.
What color was the book cover?
Yeah.
No, I was in this class and we watched a whole documentary on her life. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Was I in a class with you?
No, you weren't, but she's very famous. But anyways, she was saying just
Rosa
like,
Parks.
No. She didn't write a book, did she?
No.
Okay, but he was just saying how like neighborhoods used to be safer before because people were always looking out for people, you know? People are out in the streets. And so, like, crime couldn't happen when there's people out on the streets. But now, because, like, the streets are darker and people aren't walking as much anymore.
Right.
Like, it's just not, then, like, if someone's walking, like, you're not going to feel safe. So I remember vividly from this documentary. I will put that in the show notes. My class did we did a whole thing on it.
We'll find it.
It was really powerful and makes me think, like, how can we create that in our streets where it's not just about knowing people, but about also being together, because we know that collectiveness is power.
To wrap it up,
Ricky.
what is on the horizon for Simply Neighbors for this upcoming year as we look forward to telling stories about this neighborhood where we want to be?
It's not just talking about stories of the residents, but also business owners. What are the businesses in the neighborhood? What are the stories of, like, the food or, like, bike shops or other things that's, like, going on? Like, what are they contributing in their own way to the assets and beauty of the neighborhood? What are, like, the organizers? And so maybe it's not just like, okay, here's a resident, but here's a particular community association. What do they do? Or a community organization in general, and, like, this neighbor happens to, like, work and live in this, like, place. Like, what are they about? Or maybe there's, like, churches who are doing great things. They have a meal. Like, how can we be a space where people can, like, connect and, like, learn? They can act and they can build. Like, that to me is, like, something I would love for us to be able to do more. Just creating spaces where it's community labs, like learning, act, build, like lab. Like, that's what I like seeing.
Nice acronym. Thanks for being our neighbors, guys. And thank you guys for literally being our neighbors.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
We love you all.
Thank you guys so much. So excited for what's to come.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I'll edit that out.
Wow. That's marriage.
We'll see where I cut it.
Don't be petty.
Stephanie.